This podcast was brought to you by eBiz Radio, the place to go if you want to know about the world of business. For daily podcast and article uploads, go to eBizRadio.com or give us a follow on eBiz at eBizRadio Global.
Today we will be chatting to Koo Govender, the Group CEO of the VWV Group, about the Phakama Womans Academy. Hello Koo, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Nicholas. How are you doing?
I'm very fine today. Thank you so much for coming on our show.
No, it's an absolute pleasure.
Okay, where should we start? Let's start off with straight about VWV. What can you tell me about this wonderful company?
So VWV is 33 years old, and VWV is a global brand experience agency. So we have offices in Cape Town, Johannesburg, in Chicago and Dallas, and satellite offices in Nigeria and Kenya.
Oh, okay, so you're expanding into Africa.
Yes, we are.
Is this an aggressive approach, or are you taking it as it comes?
I wouldn't say aggressive approach, but we've got key markets which are Nigeria and Kenya.
Okay, now let's move along. Some wonderful things that you guys have done. I was reading here that you did the World Cup closing ceremony, the production, and the actual ceremony itself. Everything was you guys. Yes,
we did the opening and closing of the World Cup ceremony.
Well, personally, thank you so much for that. It really was quite something.
It's a pleasure.
Yes. Now, moving on to you, what can you tell us about you?
Okay.
Where did you go to school? What's your business experience? The more the merrier.
Okay, the more the merrier. So I'm actually from KZN.
Ah, okay.
And I studied business management, and I have a degree in business management. And my first job was with the MultiChoice Group, and I was at MultiChoice for 22 years before joining VWV, yes. And my last position at MultiChoice was Corporate Marketing and Communications Director.
Oh, okay. Well, you're suited for these interviews then. Okay, we're going to move on to the Phakama Academy itself. What's the idea around it? What does it do? What is it?
So Phakama means rise up. And the objective of Phakama Womans Academy is to equip young women for the corporate world. So I personally believe that the institutions have done a phenomenal job in academics, but nobody teaches the students life skills on how to craft a CV, on how to interview, what to do when you arrive at work. And that's where Phakama comes in, on equipping the young women on the corporate world.
Okay, now, just as a general, I mean, I know I'm male and it doesn't count towards me, but what you're saying there is actually incredibly true. When I came out of school, 8 years ago, I matriculated in 2006. And I knew nothing about the business world. You still ask me today to do a tax return and I'd look at you with a blank stare. The youth in our country have no concept or no key experience or exposure to business environment, to corporate environments, until they're in university. And even then, a lot of them don't go to university. A lot of them don't have those opportunities that I thankfully have had. And that's a major problem in our country, is you can't expect people to operate in an environment that they've never been exposed to. And I think that's one of the major problems in our country. Obviously, I know that it's a women's academy, so it's women only.
Yes.
But it's the same for men. It's not just a gender thing.
It's definitely not a gender thing. And I think the reason we made it a women's thing, because I personally experienced that. After my tertiary institution life, I had no corporate skills. I didn't know how to dress. I didn't even know how to handle corporate politics. And that's where the passion comes in of, I feel life is, there's a thing about success, but there's a thing about significance as well. And that's my philosophy towards life. So I feel in achieving the CEO status, what can I do out there for the younger woman?
Like paying it forward.
Yes, it's called paying forward.
It's the whole idea. Well, we're the same here. A lot of our podcasts, some of them we do for free for the pro bono companies, people in I don't know if you know Cape Town, but one of our poor areas is Mitchell's Plain, full of
Yes.
a lot of colored people. And once a month we do a promo for a PR agency that has lots of clients from poor backgrounds. And so once
Yes.
a month we do a podcast that profiles one of their clients. And we do it completely free of charge, just so that they have a means to get themselves out there. Because the only way that this country, this continent actually, is going to get anywhere is if those in positions of ability and power share and impart
Absolutely.
their knowledge. And that's why this idea, I think, is amazing for you guys. Moving on then, it's mostly black people. I'm reading here your stats from last year were 70% black and 30% white, which is understandable in this country, especially because of our past with apartheid. Especially black females, they're not empowered in this country. A lot of them get abused, get raped, they come from bad backgrounds. I mean, the list is endless. So anything that can be done to push them forward is welcome.
Absolutely.
Where do you source these candidates from?
So we've got a partnership with UJ, with AAA and Vega. So at the moment, last year, so I'm speaking for 2014, last year we focused on Johannesburg. So these were the three institutions that partnered with us. So what we did was we basically had a criteria list of, firstly, you had to have 60% in your academics. And the other thing which was an important criteria, is how are you going to pay it forward in your communities or towards other women. And that's how we chose our 26 women.
Oh, now that's very interesting. So not only do they get the training and the insights that they don't have to function in a corporate world, but you also try and get them to share it themselves. So in a way, the student becomes the teacher in the long run.
Absolutely. So what happens is that you've got to share your knowledge to other people and pass the message on, kind of thing.
Yeah, we helped you. Now you have to go help us with the same spirit.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what do you actually teach? So, I mean, let's start off here with the first little point, which is brand management. What does that mean? Because, I mean, I'm a producer and a sound technician. I know nothing about any of these points. I mean, you could be talking Hindi to me.
Okay. So, Brad, how do you look after your personal brand? How do you come across with all the social media platforms? Where, are you having a big party when your potential employee is looking at viewing your Facebook status?
There's a picture of you with 5 cigarettes and 3 drinks in 2 hands.
Exactly. And also in terms of your personal brand, you should be evolving all the time. So how are you representing and growing that personal brand? So that's what brand management is all about.
And it's about personal brand management. So how businesses and corporations and people in the corporate sense look at you individually.
Yes.
Okay.
And then with personal brand as well, how do you network and how important networking is? And everybody is under the assumption that networking is just a party. It's not a party. You have an agenda to network and meet new people and take it from there in terms of exploring opportunities together.
Yeah, I actually must say that for me, my greatest what's the way I want to say this? The best way that I have found to do that, what you call brand management, is in my 20s, is through networking.
Yes.
Getting in contact with the people who you went to school with. What are they doing? What industries are they involved in? What did they study at university? Not just that, people from the area that you lived in when you were young. I'm from a suburb of Cape Town called Pinelands. And I keep in regular contact with a lot of the people that I met and were friends with in high school, and they're all starting their own businesses now, the entrepreneurial ones, and we profile them. I profile friends of friends, and it's about using that network, establishing that network, I think, in your 20s that you can then use in a positive way for all people involved in your 30s and 40s.
Absolutely, and I think a network is so important because it's not only valuable at the present moment. You carry your networks continuously through your career, or even when past your career. When you're doing pro bono work or NGO work.
Yeah. Okay. Next point. Other things that you teach. There, I see you've got your time management. Now,
yes.
for me, learning to manage my time has been the greatest obstacle to having a job. Well, not even having a job. I've been working here for more than a year now. But at the time that I left university, my time management skills were next to zero because I was a university student. But through necessity, I've had to learn it on the fly. And if I had had that ability to know how to manage my time a year and a half ago, I would be in a much better place today.
So that's
not
why
that I'm in a bad place now either, though.
So that's why in terms of choosing the content for the students, time management is really a focus on things that are priority. And also with time management, focus on yourself and how you can develop yourself. And also focus at work and give your best shot at work. And that's about priority and focusing on important things.
Okay.
And a lot of us don't really focus on important things when we just get into the work environment.
Yeah, you have your daily routine. You have to check emails and you have things that come up, but then something comes out of the blue and you forget about it, and then the email doesn't get replied to for 5 days. I know that story well.
Yes, so that's why I think it's very important, and in terms of time management as well, having a to-do list. A lot of people don't have a to-do list, and it's important to have a to-do list, and as you action them, to tick them off and say, okay, I can move on to the next one, and then prioritizing that to-do list.
Yeah, what I found quite useful is at the end of every day, I make my to-do list for the next day. So I spend my last 10 minutes at work saying, okay, tomorrow, X, Y, Z, emails, podcasts, interviews, blah, blah, blah. And I find that just, even though it changes every day from what I had planned in the morning, just because every day stuff comes up, just having that general guide where after 11, I don't look at my Gmail inbox until 2. I do not. If an email comes in, I don't look at it. I'll look at it after 2 when I have the time again. And that's the only way that I can actually get most things done.
But it's your to-do list directing your day, which for me, and that's what I do. Yeah.
I think that's a very, very important one piece. Okay, next up. Presenting and interviewing. So I assume this has to do with making a pitch to clients and stuff like that.
It includes that, but it's also when you're going for a job interview, are you dressed appropriately? Is your posture okay? Are you chewing gum? Are you fully prepared for that interview in terms of presenting? Because a lot of corporates now ask you to do a presentation. And have you done enough research? Do you understand the content? Do you understand who's your audience that you're presenting to? So those are the topics we cover under presentation skills.
Okay. Our next one is CV skills. So I luckily was quite... I know how to make a CV look very nice, but lots of people don't, just because they just list. They just have a list, and then it can be a page long, it can be 3 pages long, and then it just gets lost because you're one amongst thousands. And obviously you have to make your CV stand out. So how do you go about that?
So in terms, this is exactly what you said. So in terms of a CV, you know that the recruiter goes through hundreds of CV, and what is it about your CV that makes it stand out that the recruiter would say, okay, I like the CV. Is there a photo of you? Are you condensed it into a 3 or 4 pager that speaks exactly what this corporation wants, that depicts exactly what your skills are, your capabilities are? Because a lot of people fluff on their CVs, and as soon as the recruiter sees it, they don't want to look at that CV again.
It was. I remember when I was writing my matric final exams, I had a very untidy handwriting. And one of my teachers said, if you want to get a good mark, you need to improve your handwriting. And it comes down to the same concept, whereby if no one can read what you're saying, or if what you're presenting isn't done in the right manner, you're just going to get immediately ignored, or you're going to lose clients, you're going to lose that. I luckily got an A, but you're not going to get an A, because people just don't give you the benefit of the doubt. And that's the same type of concept. You have to put out. You have to understand the way that the corporate environment works and the things that they're looking for. And it's not just about having a nice presentation, it's about what that presentation says about you. That's what it comes out. It's the impression that it gives.
So your CV is basically selling yourself. So how are you selling yourself on paper?
Are you doing it the right way?
Yes.
And then by far the most important piece, I think, is basic finance. I can't actually believe that this isn't taught in schools. The fundamental basic finances that you need to operate. I mean, it might have changed in the 8 years that I left our schooling system. But people, 16, 17, 18-year-olds leave school and have absolutely no clue about finance.
How to manage your finance.
Or how to manage it.
And how not to get into unnecessary debt.
Now, you see, I didn't have any of that, and I got into trouble. Luckily, I sorted myself out, but lots of people don't, and then they end up with bad credit history. And that simple mistake when you're 18, I mean, when you're 18, how many stupid things do people do? It affects you to your 30, 40, 50, because you get blacklisted.
Absolutely. So being financially astute is really, really important, because we know that when you're young, you think, okay, I can purchase a car, I can go partying with maybe your salary is 10,000 Rand a month, but you cannot spend your whole 10,000 Rand on partying and debt. You've got to save. You've got to think of rainy days. You've got to think about your retirement at that young age as well. Yeah,
it's completely true. I mean, if you just, between rent, food, the little bit of socializing that people do, I mean, and taxes, of course, because now you're paying taxes. That, by the way, was a horrible shock to me. But you have to have all that knowledge whereby people see their wonderful monthly paycheck when they're young and they just go wild. And then all of a sudden you're in your early 30s and your muscles start creaking and your back starts hurting, and you have to take all these precautions for when you're older on in life, and you don't know what your circumstances are going to be in 10 years. So that basic finance training, I think, is so lacking, and I think it's such a simple and easy means that you can solve so much in this country, is if people just knew how to spend their money, the money that they have.
And for me, the fundamentals of financial management is pivotal to where we want to be, where we're taking South Africa as an economy as well. We can't just be spending, and creating unnecessary debt.
Well, that's what leads to crashes, as we've all wonderfully experienced in these last few years, unfortunately.
Yes.
It was basically debt, not just in America, but in other places as well, that caused the entire world economy to fumble for 3 years, and it's still only recovering in hiccups and stops and starts now.
And I've learned a hard lesson. I've learned this: buy what you need, not what you want. And I've learned it from just out of tertiary institutions in my first few years of work.
Okay.
So,
awesome. Well, I think that's about it. Is there anything else you'd like to add? What are your expansion? What's your expansion plans for this year, next year?
Yes, the good news is we're launching Phakama the second half of this year in Cape Town. So I'm in the process of exploring opportunities with the institutions in Cape Town.
So I assume hopefully UWC, Stellenbosch.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll launch it by August. I'll definitely keep you posted on the status of Phakama Cape Town.
Oh, no, that sounds awesome. Maybe you can teach me things. I'll come. We're based in Cape Town.
So definitely you're most welcome to attend.
Yes, I'll come attend.
Module.
That's actually a great idea. I'll come attend. I'll bring a sound recording device. Sounds like a plan.
Sure, we'll welcome you.
Okay, thank you so much, Koo.
Thank you, Nicholas.
Take
care. Have a lovely afternoon.
Day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.